This is Dr. David Weiman from MarketingJewelry.com, and I wanted to talk to you today about competition in selling artisan handcrafted jewelry. In the current issue of the Crafts Report, which is the June 2008 issue, there's an article from Carol Schmidlkofer in the Business Wise section, and it's entitled Market Saturation: Are There Just Too Many Jewelry Artists to Compete? It begins on page 46 of that issue, which you can buy at your local Borders or Barnes & Noble. I'm one of the experts who gives an opinion in that article about whether or not competition is good or bad. I see competition in the artisan jewelry world as excellent, and I wanted to explain a few reasons why, in case you were concerned about competition hurting your sales. First, I believe that competition in any field improves the situation for everybody in that field. In artisan jewelry in particular, this works because the more people who are making and selling artisan jewelry, the more it gets into the public's consciousness, the more consumers see it and desire it. So in that sense, competition for artisan jewelry helps all artisan jewelers. The second issue that I see is that jewelry is not a necessity. People buy jewelry because they want it, because they love it, because it attracts them, because it reminds them of somebody, all kinds of reasons. As I mentioned in the article in the Crafts Report, if somebody has a toaster, they don't go out and buy another toaster unless they need one. But there are people who own dozens and dozens of pieces of jewelry who continue to buy more, and that's because it is something that they don't need but which they love. So people have always bought more and more jewelry, and they will continue to buy more and more jewelry as long as there's a design that pleases them or they desire or like for some reason. And that is phenomenal in our field. In fact, I've seen people selling jewelry, jewelry makers selling jewelry that they're wearing simply because they're wearing it. And imagine being in a field where all you have to do is wear what you make, and that's an instant sales promotion for it, and people will buy it. And many of you watching this have had that same experience where all you've had to do is wear your jewelry, and that's a marketing vehicle for it. So that's a phenomenal benefit of being an artisan jewelry maker. The other thing that I'd like you to keep in mind is that people buying artisan jewelry aren't just buying the piece of jewelry, but they're buying the relationship with the seller. And despite the number of people selling, you have your own individual personality, your own history, and your own joy that you bring to jewelry making that's part of the connection that you want to make with the buyer. So they're buying that relationship as well as the piece of jewelry, and that's something that creates a very strong connection and level of comfort with the buyer that is unique in the field of artisan jewelry, and which makes it very important to sell face-to-face when possible, or to give people lots of information on your website about what it is that you do, how you do it, what inspires you, what makes you passionate about the jewelry that you make. The last thing that I'd like to suggest is that you think about the following concept, and it's from Stephen Covey's book, The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. In that book, he talks about these two philosophies or positions that you can have in life. One is what he calls a philosophy of scarcity. In the philosophy of scarcity, you believe that things are limited in their supply in the universe, and that leads people to try to get as much as they can, believing that there won't be enough for them. This leads to, for example, bad negotiations, people trying to drive prices down to the lowest possible imaginable price, and bad feelings typically on one side, but sometimes both, when people feel like things are scarce in the universe. The other philosophy that you can have is called a philosophy of abundance. When you have a philosophy of abundance, you recognize that there is plenty of everything in the universe, certainly enough for everyone. When you have that kind of philosophy, you don't worry about who else is selling artisan jewelry in your local area, because you believe, as I do, that there are plenty of customers for it. There's quite honestly and literally an infinite demand for it, because people will buy something that they like in jewelry even when they don't need it. So your own creativity, your own sense of style, your own connection to prospects and customers, and your own desire to show your designs and put them in the hands of as many people as possible is really what should be driving you, not concerns about competition. I do believe you should know who your competitors are. You should be familiar with what type of jewelry they make so that you can compare it and contrast it to your own. You should look at and possibly even shop at competitors' websites. But if you adopt the philosophy of abundance, you will have a much different approach and a much different outlook about selling your own jewelry, about competition, and about the amazing, amazing market for the beautiful artisan jewelry that you make. So I encourage you to get the Crafts Report June 2008 issue and read the article about market competition. I also encourage you to go to www.marketingjewelry.com, where you can sign up for a free newsletter that gives you plenty of ideas, strategies, and techniques for marketing and selling more of your beautiful artisan jewelry. Thanks for watching.